Grace and peace be to each one of you. I want you to know that the life of our congregation, St. Luke, and its ministries is ongoing. It's just being done in different ways. Our coffee clutch last week, we'll do again this week at 10:30. It was wonderful to be able to see each other's faces and to check in with each other. The school continues. Teaching is being done, virtual classrooms. Children are having devotions as well and worship. And the faculty meets every morning and plans the day and continues to do what they are called to do. Donna and her staff are doing a wonderful job. I'll be Zooming in our confirmation class with three of our young men who we hope will make their confirmation soon. Many of you are doing essential work. You're not quarantined. You're nurses and you're nursing home administrators and other things. And we just salute you and honor you. And in fact, some of our children in our school are going to be making a big thank you, which will for all of those who are helping during this pandemic and putting themselves on the line for others. And so you'll look for that, and it will be on St. Luke's window on Belmont Avenue. A big thank you from the Academy children, and we're looking forward to that. Linda and our office staff have been working hard on a payroll protection grant in that government small business program to help keep our payroll moving. We're in the queue. We hope that this round of funding will include us. Worship and planning continues, and Stewardship Committee continues to make phone calls to as many of our members as possible to touch down with each other. I continue to meet with our other Lakeview pastors as we do a vision process to think about the future. St. Luke's Vision Team has been meeting and will meet again next week to bring to you a strategic plan for our discernment about where God is calling us in mission in the future. It's important to know that all these things are happening. But the most important thing to know is that in the middle of all this, God is with you. God is with you in the small things and the big things. Last time we talked about God being with you, with us, at the kitchen table. We talked about the holiness and sacramental nature of eating and drinking together. Today I want to take a moment and share with you a story to remind us that God is with us also in the suffering and those who are in the hospital and with all of us. So imagine a time when you could walk into a room, a hospital room, as a real person. And so you walk into this room with your heart in your throat. It is the intensive care unit for infants at Columbia Presbyterian Hospital in Manhattan. You see many cribs with bars and infants lying in them. You see and hear machines of many sorts. You notice tubes and hovering parents and green-clad nurses, doctors, and aides. They direct you to a crib in a corner where a mother rushes out to greet you. She hugs you, gives you a welcome that is almost royal. She holds on to your arm and says, "When the nurse told me you were outside the door, I could hardly believe it. You have no idea how much it means to me that you are here. Come and see Anthony." She tightens her grip on your arm, knowing this may be difficult for you. You had met Anthony a week ago at his home to pray for this operation. Anthony had one of the most generous smiles you've ever seen, but he's 6 months old and no larger than a 2-month-old child. He has heart problems, leaky valves, and he has almost died several times. Because this operation would be risky, it's his only chance. And so you visited this mother who had already lost one infant and is now barely hanging on to faith. You were there to sit with her as she groped for assurance that there could be a God, to hear her speak of her little Anthony, already a fixture in her own heart and home. She would do anything for him. Outside of this operation, there's nothing she can do. You too were powerless to do more than sit and listen and pray with these children of God and put your hands on Anthony's head and ask God's mercy. Kyrie eleison. The operation had gone well. Then an emergency had developed and they had to rush him to open him up again. He has since been in this crib, each day a little stronger, but by no means out of danger. Now you stand over the crib and look down at Anthony. His little chest heaves up and down, struggling with a partially collapsed lung. He is attached to machines and tubes which feed him and give him fresh blood, and you hear the rhythm of the heartbeat on the monitor. He's attached. His eyes are closed. His little body is battered. But as you lay your hands on him and pray, he looks awfully good, alive and giving so much hope to all who wait. Above the crib, his mother has taped a picture of a smiling Anthony. Beneath it, she has typed, "With God, nothing is impossible." Then there's a silence, the sound of machines whirring and children crying and doctors and nurses scurrying about. But you hold the mother's hand as she looks at Anthony. He's so vulnerable, his hands stretched out as he lies there in his crib. His mother says the obvious. I think of Jesus when I see him lying there, stretched out like he was on a cross. Jesus is there in the midst of our suffering. Jesus is there with waiting mothers, suffering children, bumbling pastors, with all of us who wait in our homes, with all of those who are sick of this pandemic or of other illnesses. At the cross, all creation is lifted up and drawn to the one who said, I, when I am lifted up, will draw all people to myself. Let me read you something that was written by E. Stanley Jones, who was a missionary to India. Here's what he wrote. In India, they repeat mantras. A priest will whisper a mantra into the ear of his disciple. The disciple doesn't know what it means, but he repeats it. It's his life charm. I'd like to whisper into your ear 3 words. Take it. It's a life mantra. When in trouble, repeat it. When facing a dilemma, repeat it. When facing sin, repeat it. When facing disaster, repeat it. When facing temptations, repeat it. Jesus is Lord. Take those 3 words and go into the tomorrow and into the future. And there is no future. It's all present. Jesus is Lord.